Hello and welcome to another edition of Mosaic, an African American perspective. I'm your host, Deborah Milo. Montgomery County's African American Health Program addresses a number of health disparities that are disproportionately affecting both African Americans and African immigrants. Well, today we'll be talking to Arlee Wallace with the African American Health Program in Montgomery County's Department of Health and Human Services, and Anthony Morrison, co-chair of the 3rd Annual African American Health Program Community Day and Men's Wellness Walk. Well, folks, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
I want to start out talking about the actual program in general, Arlee. Can you talk a little bit about the origins of the African American Health Program and its mission?
Yes, the origin of the program actually goes back to 1988 when U.S. Surgeon General David Satcher came and presented
I remember
on
him.
infant mortality. And what happened, based on the information that was in the 2010 report, it talked about disparities and other issues that was impacting communities across the board, blacks as well as white. There was poor outcome in Montgomery County for both populations. But just based upon the data itself and how poor the outcomes were in the data, a group of community-based organization along with some county employees came together after that symposium and started to try to address the issues that was facing the black African American population in Montgomery County. In doing so, they formed some small coalition that focused on infant mortality. They also focused on diabetes, oral health, as well as HIV/AIDS. And then after coming together and having a couple of community-type forum and meetings, the group found it urgent enough that they actually was talking to the then county executive, whereas he determined that was Doug Duncan, I
Doug
believe.
Duncan, right.
And he in turn decided it was in the best interest that they fund and come up with some type of priorities that we would place emphasis on the black and African American population, therefore creating then what was known as the African American Health Initiative Program.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And that was in 1989.
Okay, so actually it had a grassroots start to it, so to speak.
Yes, it is indeed a community-oriented type of program because it was a community that really came together to echo the concerns in which they knew was plaguing the community back in the 90s.
Anthony, do you have anything you want to add to that by chance?
So just most recently in 2014, myself, Anthony Morrison, as well as Terrence Dupree, became co-chair for the Black Males Health and Wellness Collaborative, which is a collaborative that works with the African American Health Program in order to address issues that pertain to black and African American men within the county, young and old, boys or older, and to make sure that the program is focusing or at least have emphasis on them as well.
Oh, I see.
Just over time, we do know that there's been many programs that have been set through the African American Health Program, but further emphasis on the male perspective, that's where our coalition comes in.
Okay, and so the two of you have these two coalitions, for lack of a better word, work together, more like the Department of Health and Human Services and the coalition, right?
That is correct. We work in turn with what we call the African American Executive Committee, which has coalitions and collaborative groups together.
Talk a little bit about what some of the challenges are in reaching out to the community.
Well, some of our challenges is that we are indeed so diverse. So when we say African American and blacks, we are talking about our African immigrant population as well as those who are Caribbean. So the Caribbeans as well as the African American population face some different things, such as culture differences,
of course,
language barriers, of trying to understand how the system itself works as a whole, trying to be able to understand how to access the different services and what they mean, and how to really go after and seek the services that they know that they're in need of. So those are some of our barriers, as well as information sharing. Although we exist in the county, we still have issues with trying to get the information out. For instance, trying to make sure the information is translated in the languages that is understood by those populations. Sometimes that can be a challenge. So you always have to make sure that we can prove that there is indeed a need, especially when it comes to the critical type of documents. So when individuals are going to seek the services, it is in a language that they understand, as well as in some cases you may have to have interpreters. People tend to think that you don't necessarily need that for the African or Black population, but you still need the same barriers that may exist in other ethnic and racial populations.
Anthony, do you find that to be the case as well when you're dealing with a lot of with the population?
Yeah, most specifically, there's a large Ethiopian population within Silver Spring.
That's true.
And so we have done some outreach to them. Also, there's a Haitian population, and when Arlee was talking about language differences, they speak French.
That's
and
right.
a lot of people may not necessarily recognize that, so we have to be very cognitive of how we want to communicate to these populations to ensure that they understand the services available.
Let me ask you a question also. Do aspects of their belief systems fall into that as well? In other words, when you're dealing with people from certain parts of Africa or the Caribbean who might be Muslim, does that fall into it as well?
Yes and no. I mean, so our focus is towards health and wellness, and that's where we try to keep that focus towards from a Black male's perspective. So I haven't necessarily seen any resistance or shying back from a religious aspect.
Okay.
I mean, we want to promote healthy lifestyle and living, and in some aspects it may touch upon like diets.
Well, that's what I'm trying to, let me clarify that. Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Situations like that when, you come into contact with women who are Muslim who may have to cover with the hijab, or you come into contact about the diet portion of it. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's very interesting. One of our collaborative members is actually into plant-based diets. And so what we're thinking about doing is holding some sessions just to educate the overall community about the benefits of going vegan. Because there is a healthy benefit associated with that as well.
So I've read.
Yeah, we don't want to discourage people in changing necessarily their normal patterns of eating, but there are also benefits for going down that path.
And then what we have been able to see is that in some particular cases where you have the changes in the ethnic type of foods in which we actually have here, they're not necessarily the same in which they may have been accustomed to from their native lands. So when
and we make that assumption, don't we?
Exactly.
Yes, we do.
Just kind of assume. So therefore, we have to deal with the whole preparation a little bit different with what their preferences are, and dealing with also the religious aspect. We have to keep in mind that sometimes when you look at African American, we're fine with music and dance. But in the Muslim culture, we cannot necessarily always have music and the dancing and even alcohol to a certain extent.
Of course.
Those things that we have to realize are different. So according to how you plan it, where you plan it at, and even who are supporting you, we have to be very apprehensive in our thought and our planning of that, because it could discourage our other population within the African immigrant that we are reaching out to. So we really have to be more in tune and understand the culture and their beliefs. And that's something that we have evolved into when it came to a particular dining club that we may be able to talk about later on.
Okay, that sounds good. So talk a little bit about the kind of services that you provide over at the in the program itself.
Okay, within the African American Health Program, we have what is called our SMILE program, and that focuses on infant mortality that impacts blacks and blacks across the county. And we have a holistic point where it's based upon a home visiting type model that's already is a viable source. We have 3 registered nurses that are assigned to work with various clientele. And there's different levels of prevention and intervention which we have the nurses to work with. But they can do things as far as counseling. They may do, it's a lot of one-on-one. They help with the growth and development of the newborn, as well as trying to assist them with getting connected to other type of services, as well as looking at the mom after she delivers to make sure that she is in good mental healthy state to deal with the child.
Absolutely.
So another piece that we offer deals with our diabetes program, because diabetes disproportionately impact the black population. So we do have a diabetes class program and 2 dining club. One focused on the African and the Caribbean population, and the other one is for African American. So even though people may look at us thinking we're one, we understand we have to separate and have things different with different representatives from the African community that actually spearhead those. And that includes a registered dietitian who's also an African.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. So the dietitian can relate directly to the African immigrants that come in and understanding the meal preparation, the meal, even how the meals may be consumed. Because in some parts of Africa, if I understand correctly, there are certain ways that you eat also. That's amazing. So talk a little bit about the infant mortality piece. You and I have had a chance to talk about that before, how I was so surprised at the numbers here in the county of African American women who don't receive that care.
Well, that's one thing about the African American black populations, that we are not necessarily accessing the prenatal care like it is intended. So that's when we tend to see that we may have some issues that will impact the low birth weight of the newborn child. So in recognizing that, we're trying to not go out and deal with a lot of, even talking about preconception, we talk about before we become pregnant.
Right.
We have to be healthy. So we just can't wait and suddenly become pregnant, so I got to get healthy. It is prior to. So with the infant mortality program that we have, as I said, we work with them from the time of moms come to our program, which is at least 28 weeks gestation, where we actually allow them to come in. Anything above that is considered too risky for us to really entertain. So 28 weeks is what we always like to get. We will follow the mom throughout, and then we will be with them for 1 year of that child's life. And for that 1 year, we are providing as much intervention services as we can, from safety, from bathing, to setting up the proper bedding for the newborn, and understanding the car safety seats.
Oh, that's so critical.
Trying to look at the environmental issues, such as smoking and other type of things in the presence of the child, because we know early exposure could lead to the child later on having asthma if we're not careful with our environment. So we also focus on that.
Are you dealing with lead issues, like you've been reading about what's happening in Detroit and some other types of things like that? Are you dealing with the lead issue?
Well, not directly. I would assume that if our nurses go into the homes and we see that there may be some issues with chipping of old paint, where there is some dust that may be around, then we are going to at least share our observation. The nurses will share that observation. Is that, especially looking at the age of that home and what we see. And if we see that it appears to be that it's an issue dealing with not necessarily cleanliness, but the paint itself.
Right.
So we would focus on that, and we would talk to them, at least making sure they have to clean more frequently. And if they do, the child should not be in the room while the room is really being cleaned, and including dusting as well as vacuuming, and to make sure that there would be a set amount of time in which the child should even enter back into the room in case there's any of the excess dust still floating, because it can still land on the child's bedding and other type of items. So we do try to encourage and talk about lead-based, but we don't necessarily have that issue as far as my involvement with them at this point, where lead-based is an issue for us here in the county.
That's good to know. Well, you know what, I want to talk further about some things that you're going to be doing, and I also want to talk to you, Anthony, with regard to the actual community day and the men's event that you're going to have. So when we come back from break, we're going to talk about those issues.
All righty.
For those of you who've just tuned in, you're watching Mosaic, an African American Perspective. I'm Deborah Milo, and we're talking with Arlee Wallace and Anthony Morrison, both with the African American Health Program in Montgomery County. After a short break, we'll be back with more conversation about this very important health initiative.
NFC, AFC, offensive linemen, defensive tackles, quarterbacks, and cornerbacks are all working with United Way for a million little reasons. The kids of our communities, to ensure their academic success all the way to graduation day. You see, it takes about 12 years to create a graduate, but it takes the same time to create a dropout. And the difference between a kid becoming one or the other could be a professional athlete, or it could be you. Studies showed the earlier we get to kids, the better their chances. So become a United Way volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor, and make a difference in the life of a child, for the life of that child.
Give.
Advocate.
Volunteer.
Live united. Join your favorite NFL players. Take the pledge. Go to unitedway.org.
You're doing great. We're gonna try this again, okay?
Okay.
Wheels, pedals, handlebar, brakes. Sit up straight, keep your weight in the center, keep your eyes on the road, hands on the grips, butt in the seat. If we feel ourselves falling, what do?
Just keep pedaling.
Good girl. Now remember, it's all about balance and steering. Steer with your hands, steer with your body. Steer into the corners and you stay out of trouble. And the bell's your buddy, so go ahead and ding that. All right, ready? Here we go. Pedal, honey, pedal. There you go, you're a bike rider.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain.
Welcome back to Mosaic, an African American Perspective. I'm here with Arlee, Wallace, and Anthony Morrison, both with the African American Health Program in Montgomery County. Now, before we went to break, we were talking a little bit about the programs that you have at the African American Health Program at HHS. I kind of want to shift now to talk about the Community Day and the Men's Health Program. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, great, thank you. So we're excited. This is our 3rd annual African American Health Program Community Day with our partner organizations, which include a number of organizations around the county and throughout the state. So we're excited to actually work with our partners to put together a great program that is going to include health, wellness, and fitness activities. This year's Community Day is going to be held at the Argyle Middle School, which is located on 2400 Belpre Road in Silver Spring.
Anthony, would you mind repeating that address, please?
Argyle Middle School, 2400 Belpre Road, Silver Spring, Maryland.
I just want to make sure our viewers have a chance to understand where that is exactly. Thank you.
Great. So the program, we're excited. We're hosting our Men's Wellness Walk. That's something that we've done in the past, but this year we're changing the dynamics a little bit.
I see.
We're actually partnering with an organization based out of Columbus, Ohio, which falls underneath the umbrella of the National African American Male Wellness Initiative.
I know what you're talking about. That's my home state and hometown.
All righty. Excellent, excellent. They're based out of Columbus, and for the last 10 years, they have been hosting a wellness walk that's focused on health screenings for African American, African, and Black men. And with that, we're going to incorporate that and be the first site in Maryland to actually host this event.
Oh my goodness, really?
Yes.
Well, that is exciting. That's a reason to be excited.
Correct, correct.
So now, how did the Community Day actually get started?
So the Community Day started 3 years ago, and it was somewhat out of a brainchild of the collaborative for AHP in order to showcase the African American Health Program services to the community. And with that, the first event was held at Montgomery College down in Tacoma Park, and we were able to have vendors come in, share information about health and fitness, as well as we had a dynamic program of speakers that provided a wealth of information that I haven't seen actually produced in this whole entire area.
Oh my, okay. That's very positive. So how can residents in the community get involved? Well, you don't have to ask that question, right?
They can get involved in a number of ways. First of all, we want all residents to come out. This is not just for African Americans per se, although they are a targeted population.
Of course.
So this is open to all residents of Montgomery County, and we'd like them to come out and support and partake in our Wellness Walk. The Wellness Walk is going to be taking place on the Matthew Henson Trail. So there's a historical significance for that.
Absolutely.
And so we're excited. We want people to come out and cheer and just kind of help raise the awareness of health disparities with Black men. They can also volunteer.
Yes.
So we'll also have a volunteer spot that's going to be set up. Unfortunately, I don't have the address, but I can make sure I share that with you at a later time.
And I'll be happy to push that out to the citizens as well.
All right, so volunteer opportunities are available. And then we also are looking for sponsors if they're interested.
Okay, then.
Yeah, so.
What kind of sponsors are you looking for, just out of curiosity?
Well,
are we talking about hospitals, or are we talking
about
any
organization that's interested in helping spread the word and help us in health disparities within the African American and Black community? So we have restaurants, we have social organizations, fraternities and sororities.
Fitness gym. Don't forget about the gyms.
Yep, the fitness gyms. We have Gold Gyms that just recently signed up. So we're excited. We have just a whole host of organizations interested, and again, we will accept anyone who's willing to help us with our cause.
Talk about why the walk is focused on men. I mean, I think I know the answer, but I want you to expound upon that.
Correct. So the health disparities within the African American community and Black community is great. And studies have shown that through a lot of the reports that you can find underneath HHS and so on and so forth. So with that, We want to focus on Black men because when you take a look at the African American population, Black men are at the highest when it comes down to diabetes, when it comes down to heart condition, prostate cancer. Worldwide, we're number one.
Worldwide?
Worldwide.
That's really something. That's a lot to take in.
Yeah. So we want to make sure that we have a program set to raise the awareness of prevention. So our focus this year is on health screenings. So we're going to create a dynamic event that's going to encourage everyone to go ahead and get your health screenings, to know your numbers, to promote physical activity, as well as to promote men to see their doctors annually.
Which you and I both know, or the three of us sitting at this table, we know that that's an issue all in itself.
Extremely a challenge.
Arlee, you were about to say something.
Yes, what I was about to say is that, just based on the history of the Black male itself, one thing that we need to also express and know why we have to bring awareness is that the African American, the Black males, tend to die at a much younger age than other ethnic and racial population. So that is something that we want to make sure that we get the word out so that we can know, because once you lose a mate or a provider or a spouse, that has some other huge implications on the health and the wealth of those whom you leave behind.
That's right.
And if you have an issue with the early disability as well, because disabling meaning your ability to get back to society has now been shortened. And in some cases, you may not be able to even continue to do and be a true productive individual in the community. So we really want to raise the awareness for the Black population, especially our males.
And unfortunately, unfortunately, that has been a problem within our community. We were talking earlier, Arlee and I, like I've shared that, she and I have had a chance to chat extensively about some of these issues. And one of the things that we talked about is that in the food preparation also, going back to food, I'm always going back to food, but talking about the food preparation and how all that, because you know how we grew up.
Yes.
Your dinner time or your food was the way that your grandmother, your mother, your nana, or they call them G-mama now, so I'm still trying to get used to that. But it was all about, you got rewarded by food.
Correct.
And if you came up in the South or had Southern roots, it was really something, because that was something that was definitely how you were rewarded. You got good grades in school, or you were doing something within the community. Then, I need to bake a cake. And growing up, you didn't think about those types of things, whereby you would, I have to look out to when I get 20 years from now.
So just a little point, because you talked about the program. So one of the other activities that we're going to have is what we call Taste and Nutrition.
Talk about that.
To focus on food,
Okay.
food and nutrition. So similar to Taste of DC or Taste of Chicago, it's going to be on a lot smaller scale.
I see.
But the concept is still the same, is to allow the participants for the community day to have access and to sample healthy food items. And that should hopefully address some of the issues when it comes down to food. There's many ways that you can prepare food that get the similar taste and that we are accustomed to, but you can also use healthy ingredients for that.
And it's really a different way of preparing the food, and I think that's one thing that we have to be mindful of, and how times have changed. During the earlier days, we were actually preparing our own gardens. We raised our own animal stock.
Yes, we did.
We did a lot of changing. We did a lot of the physical things that goes into the preparing and the completion of the food was done by the hands of women, men, and children. Today, those things have now changed based on the growth population. Therefore, there's a much higher production of these food. And the way in which they are being produced potentially are causing some hazards to one now. So I think as we have to look at taking in tone that, yes, we may have been accustomed to preparing our food a certain way, but now someone else is raising them and mass producing them. Therefore, our preparation may have to change.
Right.
So we can easily start the transition, not necessarily take it all away and say that you can't have fried, but to limit your fried, to learn how to incorporate a little bake, a little grill, and still use those traditional ingredients that has been passed down from generations to generation. So I think if we learn how to do that, the same process in grilling, some of your foods.
Right.
We can learn how to saute it. I think just coming together and being able to introduce those different methods would be an ideal way that we can still learn how to stay connected,
right,
but at least make some changes as we go along, especially as we age in place. Our diet and our body changes, therefore how
yes,
we prepare our food has to be prepared a lot differently.
And you're right about that, because it's all, just like you said, as we age in place, it's how we process foods. Now, you know, we're not 25 anymore.
No, we're not.
Some of us are not 35 anymore, but that's a whole nother issue too. Now, is there a website and a phone number, Anthony, to be able to get access about the Community Day?
So the Community Day, everyone could access it via Eventbrite. The Eventbrite website is going to be AAHP 2016 Community Day.eventbrite.com.
Now, repeat that, please.
AAHP Community Day 2016 at eventbrite.com.
Is there a phone number by chance?
Yes. For a phone number, what you could do is, as me being the co-chair on all of our advertising information, you could call me at area code 443-975-5420.
Okay, that's great. Do either of you have any closing comments that you want to make about the program or about the Community Day Festival, anything like that?
Well, what I would definitely like to say is I'd like for the listening audience and those watching to really be prepared to come out and join us. Wear comfortable footwear, because we will be having some physical fitness type of things going on, and be prepared to bring the entire family. We're going to be having different type of services and information from 0 to 100 available.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So I think you can. It's a generational gathering. It is just not for a certain age group. It is really across the board, so we want to see everyone out there. And we hope to have a nice, enjoyable day on April 16th.
Yes,
I was about to ask you to repeat the date. I'm glad you said that. And the address again?
So it's April 16th, Argyle Middle School, 2400 Belpre Road, Silver Spring, Maryland.
Anthony, any closing comments?
Just want to wish everyone to come out, and we're going to have a wonderful time.
And the kickoff time,
Oh,
Anthony.
7 a.m.
7 a.m.
Get a good night's rest the night before.
You're right.
And get ready to
7
join
a.m.
us.
That is going to be absolutely fantastic. You
Yes.
both must be very excited.
We are.
Yes.
You know, this is going to be a milestone for you too in the program itself, and you know, and Anthony, like I said, I'm just looking forward to being able to see all of the men come out. Are there going to be anybody from the community that's coming out too?
Oh, so just one thing we do want to announce is that County Executive Ike Leggett is our honorary co-chair.
That's fantastic. I'm so glad to hear that. Okay, see, there you go. That's what I wanted to hear. That's what I wanted to hear. Listen, I want to thank both of you for coming to Mosaic today. It's been a privilege as always, and Arlee, to see you again has really been joyful.
Thank you very much. And one last thing, if you can also visit AAP's website, which is onehealthylife.org. That is onehealthylife.org. We will also be posting information on our website.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm glad to hear that. Well, listen, I hope to have you back, and I'm quite sure you know you'll see me at the Community Day, right?
And we hope so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, that's about all we have time for today. I want to thank our guests, Arlee Wallace and Anthony Morrison from the African American Health Program here in Montgomery County. I'm Deborah Milo. Please join us again next month for another edition of Mosaic and African American Perspective. Folks, till next time, make it a great and healthy day.
Starting today, you can be active and treat yourself to a wide array of great activities offered by Montgomery County Recreation. With 4 indoor aquatic facilities and 20 community rec centers that offer exercise and weight rooms, you'll find everything you want, from sports and fitness to senior activities, from cooking to dancing, classes, trips, and tours. Yes, starting today, you can work toward a healthier lifestyle. Learn a new skill, relax a little, or just meet new people. Visit our website to see all the exciting programs, activities, and classes available to you. And
Be active, Montgomery. and United States radio and television network. 26 separate transmissions at one time.